What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Sports Prodigies podcast with your hosts. I'm Aiden.
And I'm Jeremy.
And today, we haven't really done one of these in a while. We're just going to be talking about what's going on in sports. There's no interview today. For the last 2 months, we've had really great recruits and athletes come on and speak with us. And I know that you guys, the fans, love them. But today, we're just going to be talking about sports. I feel like we haven't really had one of these in a while, like I said. So there's been so many things that have been going on. So we're kind of just going to catch up on everything, give you guys our opinions, and maybe in the comments you can hit us up with something that you want us to talk about or new people you want to bring on. We're always open, and we always would love to have advice from people that are listening. So please do that if you have any advice. And like you've been listening, this podcast is sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped, I believe, is the best shaving company known to man. I love using it. I've had it for a while. I feel like it's the best. I wouldn't recommend anything else besides Manscaped. And the thing that I always love to use is the Lawnmower 3.0. It's pure class, and I would recommend for all. What do you have to say, Jeremy?
Yeah, all of Manscaped's products are top-notch, top of the line. Like you said, the lawnmower, it really lives up to its name of mowing the lawn. So it's just a great product.
Yeah, and if you haven't used our code already, our code is capital SP2020 to get 20% off and free shipping. It helps us out. It helps you guys out. It helps out Manscaped. I would recommend for all. And please use our code if you're going to buy Manscaped. So let's get into it. First thing that I want to talk about, I know me and Jeremy have talked about this a lot. Mahomes yesterday just signed the biggest contract in sports history, $503 million, if I'm correct. It's guaranteed $477 million, which is still bigger than Mike Trout's contract at $426.5 million. So, Jeremy, what do you feel about this? Like, do you think it's kind of like a baseball contract in football? And I know you're a big baseball person, so I want to hear what you think about it.
Well, I actually think Patrick Mahomes left money on the table here.
How much do you think he could have gotten?
Well, I just know that if he could have gotten a lot more guaranteed upfront money. He really he's not getting anything guaranteed. For the next 3 or 4 years, he's getting paid the same as Teddy Bridgewater. Also, there's a couple new deals that could come into fruition in a couple of years. I believe there's a gambling deal that could potentially be tied into players' contracts. So he kind of tied himself up here for 10 years, and he's really not getting that guaranteed upfront money.
I don't know. I personally believe I understand where you're coming from. I know 10 years is a huge span, and anybody that does that contract, the guy must love Kansas City, I got to say. But coming off a Super Bowl win, Super Bowl MVP, guys won MVP already. I think he's amazing. I think he's the face of the NFL right now. Everybody looks at this guy. I know you love Lamar, but I just think Mahomes is on a different platform than everybody else. $503 million, that's a ton of money. I don't think the guy ever needs to work another snap in his life, but the guy loves football. He's going to play football. I think there is stuff that you could say, okay, maybe there's going to be bigger contracts in the future, but getting $500 million at the age of 24, that's a move. And I think any person would do that. But I think the contracts, I would say it's good. I don't know how it couldn't be great, but I understand things happen in the future. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the contract's great, but the money is going to be more towards the end of the deal. At the beginning of the deal, he's not getting that money up front like a signing bonus.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think because it's so long, he knew that going in. And I think the next 2 years, he's still getting paid not that much. And then I think by the end of his contract, he's getting paid $50 million a year, 45, crazy numbers that we've never seen in football ever. So congrats to Patrick Mahomes. Huge accomplishment. Like we said, the guy's amazing. And it's wild that a football contract, I've never seen one in my life, something that big and something that large of money. So yeah, I think it's amazing.
I'm really interested to see what my Ravens do. What we signed Lamar to.
Yeah, and going off of that, there's so many more players coming out. I know there's the Dak Prescotts. I'm a Cowboy fan. I don't know where this leaves him. Deshaun Watson's looking for a new deal. Lamar's going to be coming up in the next couple years.
No, Lamar will be locked up after this season.
You think it'll be after the season?
Yeah.
So, as a Raven fan, obviously we're not GMs, but if you could tell the people that are listening, what is your idea of what they're going to sign this guy to? He's amazing. I'm not saying Lamar's not bad. I think Lamar's easily the number 2 quarterback in the league. The way he moves, everything he does. The guy won MVP. How old is he? He's younger than Joe Burrow. So,
well, he's the number 1 player in the NFL, but that's a different conversation. But anyways, I don't know what the right contract is. The Mahomes contract kind of shocked me. I wasn't expecting that. But the one thing I do know is the Baltimore Ravens will always make the right decision, and I know Lamar wants to play in Baltimore, so whatever they agree to, it's probably the right move.
okay. And yeah, like I think contracts are obviously going to go up, but it's going to take a very long time for somebody to get paid more than Mahomes, I believe. I think it's going to be a while.
If they do agree to a contract in around the same amount of years, I would expect Lamar to be more like in the 400 range.
Okay, yeah, definitely. I also, something that I don't understand is how are they paying guys like Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, all of these guys, and especially on defense? Like, why would the Honey Badger care? He wants his money. I don't know what his contract is, but 10 years, a contract's going to go up for the guy. The guy's going to want his money. Why does he care that the team is paying him $500 million? Like, I don't know how they're going to surround Mahomes with the people that he has right now. Like, I just don't think it's possible because you're paying guys so much.
That's the problem. But at the end of the day, the cap space moves up every year. So
I think his contract also depends on cap.
Well, yeah, his contract's based around the cap moving up each year incrementally.
Yeah, it's just going to be so interesting to see. And I feel like it was a shock. Like, I feel like nobody was talking about it. It kind of just happened.
Yeah.
But once again, let's move on. Mahomes, amazing. Congrats. A lot of money for the rest of your life. So that's a huge accomplishment, whatever. Next thing that we're going to be talking about, the NBA restart. I think it starts July 30th. So there's been so many people going in and out of this. So today, I know you're a Wizards fan. Beal opted out. I know Oladipo opted out. All these guys are opting out. Like, do you think, Jeremy, and I'll say my opinion after, do you think it's going to happen?
Well, here's the issue right now is Florida is the hot spot.
Okay.
So they're going to try to, but if there could be an outbreak of cases, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if there is, I would think they would have to shut it down.
Here's what I think. Ready? Everybody, I think they're going to, I don't know what the rules are as of now, but I know people are going to be tested so much in the bubble. And obviously, if the bubble doesn't work, like if somebody gets it inside of the bubble, then they're going to cancel everything. But one thing that bothers me a lot, and the NBA isn't wrong for this, but the NBA is giving the players the option to opt out. Like, I know Kyrie's not going down, even though he's injured. I think KD is now healthy, but he's not going down. Bradley Beal is not going down. These are star players. Obviously, it would be a bigger deal if LeBron James didn't go down. But, does that bother you at all? I feel like it just screws everything up. The winner of this championship, do you give them, the credit that you would give for a regular season? Because obviously, the Wizards aren't a 1 seed, but Bradley Beal is, their team. How do you feel about that?
Well, at the end of the day, I feel like every team is faced with the same circumstance. So I don't see the reason why there would have to be an asterisk around this championship.
Okay. I don't think there's going to be
one. At the end of the day, the Wizards are going down there to play 8 games and then go home.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have, a great...
At the end of the day, the real contenders have their players playing.
Yeah. And obviously, there's more time. You're going to see more people, I believe. But, I feel like the best circumstance that I could probably say that would maybe screw up somebody, and this hasn't happened yet, I'm just saying, as a like if it happened is if like a guy like Chris Middleton on the Bucks didn't go down to Orlando. Like that would be huge because even though they have Giannis, like Chris Middleton's that second guy. Like I feel like one of these top teams, like if one of their top guys doesn't go down, like if a Russell Westbrook doesn't go down, like that screws up so much stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
that's why I don't like love this idea of the bubble, and I fully understand and respect that all of the players get to choose what they do. But and especially if you have the coronavirus, 100% you don't go down. Like that's I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if you're healthy and you don't have the coronavirus, I understand if you're injured and you may not want to go down, but it's just like I don't know, it puts like a weird feeling in my stomach that like you'll be watching the Wizards play and Beal just won't be there. As of now, with John Wall being out for so long, when you think of the Wizards, you think of Bradley Beal. So it's just like interesting. Like coaches need to switch up their game plans. Everybody needs to switch stuff up. It's kind of just like it's weird, and I really want to see what happens. I wonder if they start games, somebody gets coronavirus, are they just going to shut it down for the rest of the season? Like all this stuff is so interesting. So I wanted to have a podcast like this so we could talk about it because there's just so many views on it. And please, if you're listening, please put comments on what you think because I'm very interested to see on what everybody else thinks about this. But that's my take on it. Would you want to say like a final thing, Jeremy, about your take, or you want to just move on to the next topic?
I've been watching the basketball tournament on ESPN, and I think that's not a bad thing to follow on how to do it. I think they have 24 teams there, and they've had one player test positive, and the team had to pull out.
Okay, so going off that, I haven't watched this. Do you know where it is by chance?
It's in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
Nationwide Arena.
Okay. So obviously it's a good model, but like, could you imagine the NBA? Like, I watch the Lakers a lot, but like, who's like Giannis's younger brother who plays for the Lakers?
Yeah.
The guy never steps on the court, but if he gets the coronavirus, they have to leave.
I wasn't saying that part. I was just saying that their cases are very low.
Yeah.
And what their protocols have limited the cases.
Yeah.
To one.
And that's obviously the goal. But I'm just saying if the NBA were to model what's going on right now, obviously it's great, everybody's playing, but like I feel like if one person gets it, I guess it's unguardable. This virus, it's so hard to control. So I understand actually. You can't really make a comparison. Like if some person gets it, the whole team has to leave, whoever he's been in contact with. That's why I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it does. I love watching NBA basketball. But I think they're going to start it. I think it will not make it to the championship.
Also the NBA can also look towards the PGA Tour. They've been back for 3 weeks now, going on 4. I think they've had like 6 to 8 confirmed cases, and
soccer.
Once those guys are confirmed, they have to get quarantined for 14 days. So and NASCAR's been back. So there is and UFC's been back. So there is sports that they can kind of model those things after that is working.
Yeah. And not trying to bash or anything. You just named 3 sports that are just 1v1. I would say something that you can compare to more is like soccer. Like they're playing soccer overseas right now. I know Chelsea's playing, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. Like that's 11v11. That's more of like a team thing. You could probably pick that more than just a one guy in a car or a 1v1 fight or one or two guys playing together on golf. But I understand where you're coming from. There's many things that the NBA could look at. And I think the NBA is going to do a good job. I think they're run very well. I think if one person gets it, it's going to screw up the whole thing, and that's an obvious. But it's I can't wait to see it. I'm very interested in seeing it, and I know you are too. So, final thing we're going to talk about today is UFC 251.
Headlined by Kamaru Usman versus Gilbert Burns. They were former sparring partners, teammates, good friends, and Gilbert Burns took the fight against Kamaru Usman, and he tested positive for the virus and had to pull out. I believe it was either Friday or Saturday, and I was very shocked to hear the news that Jorge Masvidal would be replacing him because for the past month or so, Jorge Masvidal and Dana White have been in a feud about fighter pay. So to see that one, they could even get a replacement this quickly with all the protocols they have to follow for the pandemic, and then two, to see it was Jorge Masvidal was very surprising. However, I'm very, very excited that they got a replacement, and I'm very excited to watch the card, as there's also two other title fights on the card.
Yeah, and obviously I'm not as big of a UFC fan as you, but I feel like everybody that listens to sports, watches sports, they heard that this guy Jorge Masvidal, this guy's an animal. I've watched a couple of his fights. I'm not huge on UFC, but I've seen this guy. The guy's an animal. I've seen his street fights. This guy's a dog, and you don't need to hear it from me to know that this guy's a dog. And obviously he's been fighting with the UFC a lot about pay, and I feel like that's one thing that the UFC I feel like is struggling with. A lot of their key guys are kind of fighting over pay, but that's just a business. The UFC is a business. Everybody fights for money. I understand that. I'm very interested to see Jorge Masvidal versus Usman. Do you have anybody early out, Jeremy, that you think is going to win? Like, I've never watched an Usman fight. I'll tell you that right now.
I've actually watched him live.
Okay. Where, actually?
Orlando.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'd be very, Usman. I would be very shocked if Usman loses. I would be very surprised if Peter Yan loses. I think Jessica Andrade is an underdog pick. I would take her. Going down the list, Elizu Zaleski dos Santos, even money, good play, and then more like the Alexander Volkanovski Max Holloway title fight. Alexander Volkanovski has been a beast in the UFC, but Holloway just didn't look right in that fight, and I don't know, something telling me Holloway's gonna win this fight.
Yeah, I think Max Holloway is very good. I don't know. I feel like I have a little. I feel like I like Jorge Masvidal, and like I said, I haven't watched a Usman fight, so I can't call who's gonna win. But I did see.
Well,
I feel like everybody's seen.
Usman has dominated every fight that he has fought
He has.
in the UFC.
He has, and I'm not saying he hasn't. I think it's
An
interesting fight.
And he's fought in better competition. And at the end of the day, Jorge Masvidal is more just he just wants to brawl, but Kamaru's just gonna grind him out, and that's just what he does.
Last thing I gotta say also is the dude has 6 days notice. Like I don't see, obviously the guy. I'm assuming the guy's been training. You can't just go into a fight 6 days in. But like that's definitely gonna show. I feel like you can't just pick up and fight in 6 days. I know the guy's an animal, but like, you know what I mean, Jeremy?
I mean, there has been short notice replacements this quickly,
obviously.
But
with a guy like Usman, like you're saying,
like that's the thing. Like I'd be very surprised.
Yeah.
And also, I think Masvidal still had to cut like 25 more pounds as of Sunday night. So
it's gonna be very interesting.
Meanwhile, he still had to fly over there. Remember that? I think that's a long flight to Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, definitely. But I know I'll be watching it. I know you'll be watching it. And is there anything else? I think there's nothing else we're talking about, right? I think we're done for today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so that's it for today. Thank you guys for listening. And please, like I've said throughout this whole video, please tell us in the comments what you're thinking, your takes on it. If you want somebody in our podcast, we'll reach out. We love hearing from the fans in our comments. Again, we are sponsored by Manscaped, so use our code.
Wait, Aiden, before we finish, also go follow the Instagram, and we're gonna start having some discussions. We're gonna start posting some discussions about recent sports news. So go chime in there.
Yeah, and also on our Instagram, like Jeremy just said, please just hit it up. It's Sports Prodigies. It's a great Instagram. We're going to be putting a lot on our story. We want to hear from all of you. Yeah, we care about what you guys think. So please let us know. Like I said, we were sponsored by Manscaped. Use our code capital SP2020 to get 20% off and free shipping. And that's it for today. Signing off with your hosts, I'm Aiden.
And I'm
Everybody have a
Jeremy.
great day.